Right, we have our next keynote speaker of the morning. This amazing lady is Miss Daria Tataj. She is the Strategy and Policy Advisor to EU and Chair of High-Level Advisors to Carlos Moedas in Barcelona. She is also the founder of Tataj Innovation, the chairwoman of High-Level Advisors to Carlos Moedas, European Commissioner for Science and Innovation, executive member of the EIT Founding Board, an advisor at the World Economic Forum, and also a member of Los Discotech Spain. Please welcome her to the stage as she will be speaking on innovation through network thinking, a growth model for mid-sized cities in the digital economy. Please welcome Daria to the stage. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Now, I have a technical question. I understand that I have a presentation, and this is my power tool. Welcome, everyone. If there was one word that you would think would be the word to unite all the mechanisms of today's society, what would it be? Previously, we were saying industry, industrial society. Then we were saying post-industry, digital society. But there is something more, if I can ask my presentation to be turned on. No? Okay, so we'll go without presentation. This word is networks. And if you're thinking about many challenges today faced by mid-sized cities, by cities that are not part of the flow of global value chains where the talent, knowledge, and funding circulates, you would say that, how do you reinvent a mid-sized city? And I'm a practitioner. I've worked for governments, for universities, and for businesses. And I would say that in all these environments, if you want to create a new growth model, you need to be entrepreneur. And being entrepreneurial in the networked world means that you have a huge power, because you don't really need much capital. You don't really need much knowledge. You don't really need high technology to create a high-profile business in your mid-sized cities. So let me comment on what could be a growth model for mid-sized cities in the digital economy through network thinking. I have an honor to advise Carlos Moedas, EU Commissioner for Science, Research and Innovation, and we believe that it's critical to rethink the 100 billion euro budget that Europe will invest, not only to build capacity, not only to build a better world, but also to build a more sustainable future. And I'm passionate about the European project, because I come from a country that has been torn by wars, that has been extremely poor. And I want to give you a message that if you're a poor country, if you're a country at the periphery, and if you're a poor city or a city at the periphery, you can make it. Today, the World Bank says that Poland, my home country, is the second most successful country in the world after South Korea. And this is because we have had a very special growth model based on education and based on entrepreneurship. And ever since we had a privilege to be part of the European Union community, my voice was invest in education, invest in entrepreneurship. Now, I've worked at many different academic environments trying to understand what would be this new growth model for Europe beyond the crisis. And I believe that we need a new way of thinking. The traditional way of thinking does not seem to take us where we want to be. Network thinking is a way for you to look at a world from a different perspective, wherever you are in these value chains, in the networks. We have moved to Barcelona. I'm an entrepreneur. We have opened our innovation lab here. And believe me, it's an amazing place. Over the last 24 months, a multinational, we are a micro multinational, but a real multinational. Over the last 24 months, every month, an innovation lab is being opened in the city. Every month. What a dynamic, what a creative fever this has. And we came here to understand how to help other cities build their power through network thinking. So there are basically 3 steps. Easy said, difficult to do. Number 1, you need to understand innovation in networks. It's different than it was before when you had linear value chains. It's just different. Number 2, you need to understand how to create the networks you need to achieve your goal and how your city is placed in these networks. And number 3, you have to orchestrate the networks locally and globally. Very simple. Understand, create, orchestrate. So what is the question? You know, when you look at the cities in metropolitan areas at the national level, you somehow hear the success stories that a city was a place that really was becoming a place that doesn't matter anymore, and suddenly companies started to invest, talent started to grow, real estate prices started to rise. What is the reason? Why certain places become places of wealth? Of course, you cannot copy Silicon Valley, and don't even try because it just does not work, we know it. But you can look into strategies of many cities that made it being really a small cities. And let me come to some cases in a moment. But to do it from a mid-sized city perspective, and if you are a European mid-sized cities, look at the European perspective, because this is a very diversified ecosystem that if you're well connected, you can really make it. And one of the initiatives that you could think how to get access to talent, funding, and knowledge is through the network of the European Institute of Innovation and Technology. You cannot create an MIT for Europe, but you can create an institution that will bring an impact that MIT, this famous American University of Technology, has brought to the States and to the world. EIT, I believe, will be, in short time, one of the most powerful innovation networks in Europe. Think about how your mid-sized city can connect to this backbone of innovation. Well, what is special about the EIT that you can think into your growth strategy? It's based on 4 pillars: research, innovation, education, entrepreneurship. And in every ecosystem, you need to base your growth on these 4 pillars: research, innovation, education, entrepreneurship. The problem is that in many ecosystems, even in mid-sized cities, you have these elements, even the 4 elements, but most often they function in silos. The question is how you connect them locally. What is the element, the glue that brings them together? What is the stickiness factor that suddenly people they stick around you? There's no simple copy-paste answers, but there surely is a strategy that you can understand and follow. And one of the case studies you can think about is Helsinki in 2010. I happened to be there at a time, and you may know well that this was a city built around, don't quote me on this, but this was a city built around Nokia. Every graduate of every university in Helsinki knew that there was a career. He or she was to work for Nokia. This was a dream job. But, you know, the world changed. Well, like many great companies, the old economy, the business thinking was not, they were not ready in time to deal with disrupt innovation. They didn't account for quickly enough to understand the smartphone revolution. What was the effect on Helsinki? Well, the graduates knew that they will not probably be working for Nokia. So what was the alternative? You know, Finland is not a very entrepreneurial country. Don't quote me on this either, because it has changed enormously. In 2010, a group of people started a Facebook page. A Facebook page, costs nothing. Aalto Entrepreneurship Society, and by pure coincidence, I was one of the first followers. But it was also a time where the government made one of the most fascinating experiments, merging University of Technology, Art University, and Business School into Aalto University. If you have a moment, look into Aalto University, because today, the Venture Garage, the Startup Sauna, and the Slash event have become, just after a few years, one of the demo cases how to build an entrepreneurial ecosystem that transforms a mid-sized city like Helsinki into a global innovation hub. And then there is a question, what do you do if you don't have such a great university base, if you don't have Aalto University? And the question is, let me tell you quickly by another case story, Badalona. If you know what is Badalona, where is Badalona, raise your hand up. Oh, you must be from here. Okay, Badalona is a 200,000 city, 20 minutes from here. It's in the metropolitan area of Barcelona, because Barcelona actually is a cluster of over 24 cities. And believe me, between Barcelona, that I love so much, and Badalona, which I also love a lot, there is a sea of poverty. Hundreds hectares of abandoned polygonos. Well, it's not exactly true, because in that very area is the largest cluster of Chinese firms, over 600 companies. But somehow the growth of Barcelona has not yet contributed to the wealth creation of Badalona. And the city is beautiful, and it used to be, you know, a factory for Barcelona, but it's somehow stuck in the past. So what we did, we created a project to transform Badalona through network thinking. Here what you see, it's an event that we made for the Catalan ecosystem to come to Badalona. You know, a place that, if you're not from here, you would really would not know what this mid-sized city could offer. So we engaged from the government level, from the industry, from universities, to think through what could we do for Badalona. But it also created, it all can change if Badalona wants to change, but also if there is a mechanism to connect Badalona to the global value chain. So we asked startups, we sponsored EIT alumni startup days in Barcelona to think through how to transform Badalona into an innovation district, such as 22 at Arroba, 22 at Barcelona, the famous case. If you have not visited yet, leave the Congress and go get the feel what a post-industrial city can look like in the digital age. Go to 22 Arroba, Barcelona. Why is this important? It's important because this is the presentation of the projects by, which was the outcome of this startup days, to the mayor of Barcelona and the economic counselor, because sometimes you think you have no choice. Sometimes you think you're stuck somewhere. It's not true. Today, in the digital economy, any mid-sized cities can build its ecosystem locally and connect to the global value chains. This is the Badalona beach. You surely know why I love having an innovation lab there. And you know, if we can help you, we'll be delighted to welcome you and help you advance your growth model if you're a mid-sized city and you aspire to reinvent your future for the next generation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Daria. Okay, do we have any questions? Once again, you have an opportunity for you to come up and ask questions at the front. Any questions? Or is there anything further that you'd like to add?
Yeah, I would like to ask you a question. Do you know what is European Palo Alto? No, wait a second. Do you know where is Palo Alto? Hands up. Right, Palo Alto is in California, right? It's the heart of the Silicon Valley. Do you know what city is an equivalent of European Palo Alto? Look, there is a city in Europe that 30 years ago, you know, with all respect, was really a nice place for one company and one university. Today it's a place with 10,000 high-tech companies. Let me give you some more data so maybe you will be able to guess. 40% of all patents filed in that country where the city is filed in this city. They file 4 patents a day. Where is it? Pardon? Eindhoven, absolutely, Eindhoven in the Netherlands. And I love the place because my daughter is an engineering student at the TU Eindhoven. So this is why I got a closer look what has happened there. And I know the story of Philips, how they open up their high-tech campus, moving their headquarters elsewhere and employing and endorsing the open innovation strategy, which totally reinvented the ecosystem. But why am I speaking about Eindhoven? Because you are all experts in cities. And so few of you knew that this is European Palo Alto. So few of you knew that there is such a tremendous knowledge, talent, and funding with multi-billion companies coming out of this ecosystem created. In Europe, we need to be much more open and outspoken. We do have success stories. And we do have our own model of growth that appreciates social justice, inclusion, environment. And I'm really proud to be part of this European project. But we need to invest more in building the visibility of the mid-sized cities like Helsinki, like Barcelona, because Barcelona also on the global scale is not a big city. Comparing to Chinese cities or Asian cities or South American cities. We need to invest in being proud that our cities in Europe, mid-sized cities, really contribute to making the world a better place, and surely they are one of the favorite cities to live in. I hope I can learn about the story of your city. I'll be delighted if you come and speak with me. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.